You're presenting the recommendation you've been working on for months. You've got the work to back it up. So much data, overwhelming data. Worried that the decision makers you need to influence won't see its significance. You've used your favorite data visualization software to create graphics. You hope that they'll help your audience see the patterns, trends, and correlations that supports your recommendation. But your presentation isn't going how you'd envision. Despite all your hard work, your audience seems confused, detached, and ambivalent. What went wrong? Today, we will discuss about the cognitive load, clutter, and the Gestalt Principles of visual presentation to help people who are struggling in presenting their data visualizations. First, we'll discuss about cognitive load. Cognitive load theory is the idea that certain factors can make learning unnecessarily complex. These factors inhibit your working memory from being able to process all of the incoming information. You may not have control over the intrinsic complexity of the data, but you have complete control over how you present it. Knowing how to use data visualizations effectively can keep you from overloading your audience. Remember that no matter who your audience is, their brains process information in the same way we all do. Never forget that the power to make your data readily understandable to any audience is in your hands. Next is the clutter in presenting data visualizations. What is clutter? How does it affect your data visualization presentation? Visual clutter denotes a disordered collection of graphical entities in information visualization. Clutter can obscure the structure present in the data. Even in the smallest dataset, clutter can make it hard for the viewer to find patterns, relationships, and structure. We define visual clutter as any aspect of visualization that interferes with the viewer's understanding of the data and present the concept of clutter-based dimension reordering.
A good way to identify clutter from the information that we want to communicate is the Gestalt Principles of visual perception. The Gestalt School of Psychology back in the early 1900s studied how individuals perceive order in the world around them. The Gestalt theory of perception attempts to explain the way the human brain interprets information about relationships in a design or image based on visual cues. The theory consists of 6 principles which we will tackle one by one. First on our list is proximity. The principle of proximity states that objects that are close together appear to be more related. The opposite is also true, of course. By putting space between elements, you can add separation even when their characteristics are similar. Next is similarity. It is human nature to group things which look together. In Gestalt, similar elements are visually grouped regardless of their proximity to each other. They can be grouped by shape, color, or size. Another principle is enclosure. The Gestalt principle of enclosure points out that any form of visual enclosure causes us to see the enclosed objects as a group. This principle is usually exhibited in the use of borders, fill colors, shadings in tables, and graphs to group information and set them apart. The next principle is closure. Us humans tend to dislike loose ends. When shown objects that are either open or incomplete, our brains most of the time naturally perceive them as closed and whole. The principle of closure asserts that we perceive open structures as closed, complete, and regular whenever there is a way we can reasonably do so. Next is continuity. Humans perceive objects as belonging together if they are aligned with one another or appear to form a continuation of one another. Things that are aligned together, regardless if they have different color, shape, or size, is still perceived to belong in the same group. Last but not the least is connection. We perceive objects that are connected in some way, such as a line, as part of the same group. As shown by the example, the perception of grouping produced by connection is stronger than that produced by proximity or similarity. The principle of connection is especially useful for tying together non-quantitative data. Now that we have understood the different principles of Gestalt Principles of Visual Perception, we can now use these principles to utilize them, create more interesting and engaging visual experiences for our audiences.
All in the human mind is linked to everything else like a circuit. We also try to offer profound meanings to trivial trends while missing the important ones. Seeing patterns in clouds, gaps in the walls, or even the leaves are all things that each of us has done at the same stage in our lives. The desire to complete the whole, to find the missing link in the puzzle that nature has given us, is a simple human instinct. We are continually attempting to link the dots. We often discuss the significance when visualizing a data. When we pause and think about it, it's mostly common sense. You have to delete needless visual elements from your graphs. It can have major effect if you do so. We don't take the time to do this, though way too often.